welcome back to my channel. So as you can see, I'm smiling, so I'm excited to do this video, right? So I don't know where to begin. I haven't made any notes, so it's going to be all over the place, but we're going to just roll with it, okay? So today I wanted to do this video about my theory behind control and behavior. Why do people do it? So as you know, like psychologists, scientists, different people look into like why people have controlling behavior. And sometimes like I've read that people that control others because they don't have control over their own lives, right? So that's kind of what I always hear, right? But I've come up with my own theory, and this is what we're going to dive into. So I believe, right, it's going to be hard to explain it, right? But I believe, right, I'm going to use examples, right? So I believe that people control because of numerous reasons. And one of the ways that they try and control it is because they have grown or leveled up in life, right? And this can happen when they are mentoring someone younger than them. This can happen in parenting, where people look at someone so much younger than them and they want them to skip that process, right? They want them to skip the process and become like the person they've become at the age they've matured. So let's break that down, guys. So because I have found Christ, right? I always believed in God, but because I've started my spiritual journey, if I'm talking to someone younger than me, I know that if they was to come to Christ quicker, their life would be so much better. They can avoid like sin, they can avoid meeting the wrong people, they can be more in alignment with God, right? So if I was a controlling person, I would force Bible verses down their throat. I would tell them, come on, let's pray to God. Come on, let's do it. And I would just have this controlling nature over them, right? Telling them not to do that, don't do that, do this instead, pray to him, read the Bible, and be very controlling, right? That aspect of controlling is when somebody older than you or somebody that's reached success in their life and they expect you to jump the process. And when I say jump the process, they expect you to not go through the lessons in life, find your own way to Christ. They expect you to come now, be on my level. The controlling aspect is when they want everyone around them to be like them. That actually hits close to home because that's a controlling aspect of me where I want everyone to grow around me. I want everyone to level up in life. I want everyone to do well. So if I feel like they're not working towards anything, I kind of initiate something. Like I would say, why don't you study? Why don't you get a different career? Why don't you find a partner? That's when that may be a controlling aspect of myself because I want everyone around me to be successful, right? So that could be a positive control, right? Whatever way you want to see it, but then it can come across negative if somebody doesn't want to achieve those things and they feel like I'm inflicting it onto them, right? So yeah, so one aspect what I believe in my theory of control is that some people look at somebody else even though they used to be like that. So, for example, if we use someone that is 20 years old, right? And of course, I was 20 years old once upon a time, right? Everybody, most adults, all adults, sorry, have been 20 years old. We haven't just skipped from, you know, 5 years old to like 10 years old and then skip from 10 years old to 20. We've all, went through each age and phase in our lives. So, obviously when you are a certain age and you're so much younger, you're going to live your life. You're probably going to sin. I don't encourage it, but you're probably going to go through the lessons in life. And that's because if you look at society as a whole, um everyone's sinning. So when you're going through the life, you're going to sin, but you may come across controlling people that are going to tell you, no, don't do that, come this way, come on this path. So in that aspect, people can control because they don't want you to experience what they experience and they want you to be on their level. So that can maybe happen in parenting, mentoring, and lots of different ways, you know. It can also happen in adulthood where people want you to quickly come on my path, you know. And obviously, I use Christianity because that's probably the easiest way to describe it, but it can happen in so many different ways. Um, Another one is when where people become controlling is when they want to create a certain environment around themselves, right? So, for example, if let's use myself as an example, right? So, say if I this can apply be applied to the workplace or the home environment. So, if a better example is so hard to explain it without examples. So, a best example is um a male, for example. So, if a male gets into a relationship with a woman, right? And he expects her to, you know, cook breakfast for him, right? Because that's kind of like a wife's duty, right? But if they're boyfriend and girlfriend, he may expect, you know, wife duties from her, for example. So in a controlling, that may come across as controlling because he is no, I can't say the word cultivating. I don't know how to say that word. Cultivating, sorry, cultivating the environment around him that he wants for his future self. Do you know what I mean? So he would want someone, a woman that can like make his breakfast in the morning. You know, like a love language, and he may want, I don't know. That's just an example. So in the workplace, maybe management could be a bit controlling because if they work hard, they expect everyone around them to work to the same standard and level as them, right? And I had experience of this, you know, with like supervisor expecting me to perform the, you know, the task that they want doing, right? Even though I was doing something else, and it's almost like they're looking at you, expecting you in a controlling way to perform the way that they expect you to, or the way that they think that they would if they were you. So it's almost like people can become controlling because they're trying to create people around them like themselves. Does that make sense? So if I am someone that wakes up early and then I expect everyone that I live with to wake up early, it's almost controlling because you're trying to, you know, create a certain environment around you. So people need to learn to let people be. And that's something that I like to be like. I like to let people be themselves, you know, let them be individuals. I try not to let them, you know, be the way that I want them to be because that's controlling, right? We should let people breathe. We should let people, you know, show who they are. We shouldn't try and force or mold people into like aspects of what we expect, how we want our outcome to be, because that goes against life. Because if you look at life, life is not perfect. Nothing goes our way. Sometimes it can, but it doesn't always go our way. But because people want everything to go their way, they want everyone around them to be perfect. They want everyone to perform the way that they want them to perform. They want to create their environment. They're creating their own little world. And that's why a lot of people don't like controlling people. So controlling people like to have, in my theory, they like to have everything the way they want it to be around them. If that means complaining all the time, they might just complain all day, you know, because they want everything their way. They want you to perform the way that they want you to perform. You've got to be like me. Come on, get this done. Another thing is like cleaning. You know, I watched the soap opera many years back, and obviously she was with a controlling guy, and he would snap at her if she didn't clean the way that he cleaned. So obviously, if he expects things to be cleaned in a certain way, he wants everyone around him to do it to that standard. That's when you get controlling behavior. So that's like my theory behind controlling. So it's almost like they are, you know, creating, you know, people around them to be a certain way, whether it means getting them onto the same level as them. It's almost like they want everyone to be unison. They want everyone to be the same. Come on, you've got to be like this. I think it can happen in parenting where people have children and they have their own idea of how the children should be. So if the children are not, you know, staying, if the child is not getting into line or performing the way that they should, the controlling aspect comes in. And obviously, as a parent, you do need to keep your child under check. You need to make sure they're performing correctly. So I understand that. but are we trying to mold children into mini versions of ourselves? Is a question. Are we trying to live through our child? All our hopes and dreams that we didn't achieve, are we trying to make that child live up to our expectation? Are we trying to make them achieve what we didn't achieve? Because we are now looking at life through a different lens and realizing how important it is to achieve that degree, achieve, that goal in life. So you want your child to do it because you realize how you messed up and you want them to achieve that. So controlling does show up in so many ways, and social media is controlling as well, because if you don't create the perfect picture, if you don't create the perfect content, if you don't do the, if you don't get as much likes, if you don't create the same content as everyone else, or if it doesn't fit into that box, it's controlling your mindset because you won't post anything that doesn't get the likes or comments or the popularity. So people are being controlled in so many ways, more ways than they realize. And it can also happen with messaging people. If you don't reply within a certain time frame, you're going to feel like, you know they're going to think, the other person is going to think you're ignoring them. There's a lot of control in this life, and I don't think it feels easy living in it. It's very controlling. It's like, are people really being themselves, or are they actually performing the way that other people expect them to perform? Are they just getting married because the whole family expects them to get married? Are they just studying a course because their family wants them to study that course, that particular subject? Why are we making decisions based on other people? Why are we not making decisions for ourselves and aligning with our true self? What really makes you happy? You know, what do you think? Like, what path do you think your life needs to go on? You know, we have to live in our true identity. And, there's so much people that are having our life under control, like they've got us on a puppet string because they're controlling us. You've got to be this way when you're living under my roof. You've got to be this way in my work environment. I want the work to be done this way. You've got to be like this. You've got to be on my level. You've got to think like me. You've got to act like me. It does make you think, doesn't it? So I'm going to leave this video here, but to summarize, I feel like my theory of control, behind control, why people become controlling, is because they want to create a certain environment around them. They want everyone to be like them. They have expectations that they want to be fulfilled. They don't let people be. They want everyone to be like this image they have in their head, this perfect wife, she's got to be this way, the perfect husband, he's got to be this way, instead of looking at reality and letting people breathe. We need to get into an environment, a society where we let people be themselves, so they can get onto their true path and their true calling in life. Because if we're controlling how people are, how are they going to live out what God has planned for them? It does make you think, doesn't it? So I'm going to leave this video here now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to those that did tune in, and thank you to those that do watch this video after I've posted it. Thank you guys so much, and pay attention to where you're being controlled, and think about, what do you want for your life, and go live it. Go get your life. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.